A lot of people have mixed feelings about the Seagull 1963. They either love it or they hate it. But whatever the case, the watch is an iconic watch. And there's been so many variations made from the original timepiece. And from my understanding, Seagull only produces the watch in 38mm with acrylic glass and a solid case back. Now, I'm not going to touch too much about what is original and what is not, because even non-original are manufactured with the full knowledge of Seagull, because Seagull provides the movements for these watches, so go figure. And being the year 2023, 60 years since the watch was developed, this particular model is a tribute to the iconic original. It's celebrating the 60 years anniversary. It's basically a 38mm, it's a limited release numbered from 0 to 750 units, and the movement is of course the Seagull ST19, or in this case the ST1901 manual wind column wheel chronograph, and the specs of their website say that the power reserve is around 45 hours. I reckon it's about 42. Let's check this thing out. On the dial of this watch, it features the Chinese characters Yi Jia Zi, which means the 60th year. Now, it's not trying to pretend to be a reissue of the original, far from it. Many enthusiasts and collectors know the original specs of the original watch and its reissue. And this particular one here, like I said, it's limited to 750 pieces to celebrate the 60-year anniversary of the 1963, and it even states that on the dial. So I suppose it's a watch that's made for enthusiasts who want the legendary Seagull ST19 movement with the versatility and strength of a sapphire sandwich, as well as a watch that's going to change character because this comes in a fully brushed bronze alloy case. Now, there's been so many releases of the 1963 over the years, some better quality than others. So the question I ask is the quality of this up to par? And I can say with a definite yes. And probably the biggest letdown of the watch is the movement. And I don't say for its functionality, but as everyone knows, the ST19, poor finishing with dust and marks and what have you. But put all that aside, the watch is actually built really well. Even this seatbelt style strap is of premium quality and feel. So that's a first for this genre of watch. Because from my experience, the 1963 usually comes with subpar straps and obviously fully polished stainless steel case. So this Red Star version seems to offer the modern enthusiast a bit of the best of both worlds. And looking closely at the specs of this watch, I measure a case diameter of 37.7 with a case height of 14.1. The lug to lug is 44.6 with a lug width of 18. Now the crown is a 6.7mm signed push-pull crown, and the total weight on this single pass seatbelt style strap comes in at exactly 69 grams. The overhead shows that the 38mm watch is going to sit beautifully on the wrist. There's no overhang, as you can see. The height, 14.1mm, plus that single pass strap is obviously going to raise it up a little bit, but the comfort on this strap seems to be superb. It features bronze hardware as well, and it seems to be really well made, which was a surprise to me. My only dilemma, you can't slide the tongue in the second keeper, it just doesn't fit. So I'll fold it over and I'll put it into the first, and away you go. So it just doesn't seem to fit in that second one. That's something to note. Now, many people don't know the history of this particular watch. 60 years ago, China needed to develop a chronograph for the Chinese Air Force aviators. And they wanted a mechanical chronograph, and they ended up buying the tooling and equipment from a Swiss manufacturer named Venus that produced the caliber 175. And in doing so, they were able to create their own movement in-house. And speaking of that caliber, it's now called the ST1901, and looking through the Sapphire Exhibition caseback, on first impression it looks great, and it does. It actually looks fantastic. Being a column wheel chronograph coming in at that price, there's pretty much nothing like this on the market, and that's why these watches are so popular. But as everyone knows, and I mentioned this at the beginning, the biggest weak point of these watches is probably the quality finishing of that movement. Because as you get closer, away from looking at it with the naked eye and starting to put that movement under a little bit of scrutiny with macro lenses, you can see some dust, some fine scratches, and even tool marks. But for the prices that these watches were being made available, you really can't complain. The blued screws are obviously artificial, they're not real blued screws, And on this particular movement, you've got 21 joules, as per the original had 19. What's been my thoughts on this particular watch? Now, there's probably a million videos of the 1963 out there. So there's many owners, there's many enthusiasts. People have seen the videos before, so they know the watch, they know the movement. And with the chronograph, you got a really nice, healthy snap as you start or stop that movement, which is great. But with the reset button, it's barely audible. You can barely feel it. It's smooth, it snaps back, but it's not as satisfying as that start-stop. Also, as far as time setting goes with these, they're non-hackable. So that running seconds hand in the subdial at 9 o'clock continues to move regardless of whether you pull the crown out to set a specific time. And that's an inherent design flaw of this particular movement. But as far as being a robust, strong, reliable piece, that's exactly what these watches are. And that's why they're so coveted and desired by so many enthusiasts. Now, my experience throughout the week of wearing this watch has been unusual because as soon as I took it out of the box, I almost lost the watch several times because it's quite easy to come off this strap. As you can see, it's sliding up and down really easily. So the quality of the strap is nice and smooth, nice and malleable. So bear that in mind. Being a single pass, this might slide off really easy. Another observation, I think this watch will wear a lot nicer on the wrist with straps rather than a single pass because that just adds that little bit of height. And already coming in at 14.1 for a 38mm, it just seems to prop it up on that wrist and it sits a little bit proud. Also, the fact that the watch features a sapphire sandwich, the sapphire crystal at the front has a relatively big bezel. On the original design, they came with acrylic crystals and a very small bezel. It actually didn't look as bulbous. But again, you've got the safety of sapphire, the scratch proofness, bit of a trade-off, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The watch is manufactured in a fully brushed bronze alloy and can only be purchased from this website. I think the fact that these guys produced this particular one in bronze, so it can patina in 6 to 12 months when this watch starts to look so dark, almost black, I think its character is going to look superb. Hit me up in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. The movement's been rock solid. The finishing and execution on the case, the dial, has been on a very high level. And if you can put up with the ticking sound, I think this is a nice little piece for enthusiasts or even someone looking to get into a mechanical column wheel chronograph without spending top dollar and something different for the watch box. I'll leave all the links in the description, so feel free to check them out. And until the next time, enjoy the watch that's on your wrist. Thanks for watching.